A CBS News investigation uncovered a medical scheme that targets opioid addicts. More than 600,000 people in the U.S. struggle with opioids. The president signed legislation this year that devoted more than $3 billion to fight opioid abuse. Some recruiters are using cash apps like Venmo to pay struggling addicts hundreds of dollars to get a surgical implant that promises to curb opioid cravings. Doctors then bill insurance companies thousands of dollars for the procedure. CBS Evening News anchor Jeff Glor spoke to one mother whose son fell victim to the scheme.
He said from the very, very first time I used heroin, the very first time, he said I was hooked.
In March 2016, Debbie Berry of Ashland, Missouri, got a text from her 22-year-old son, Brennan, that no mother wants to receive.
He texted me and said that I have a drug problem, Mom. I'm in trouble.
Desperate to help her son, Berry got him into treatment in California. One day he called her from a doctor's office to tell her he'd found something to help.
He said, I'm going to get an implant put in. I'm here with them, and they've done a pre-certification that your insurance will pay for it.
It was an naltrexone implant, a small pellet inserted near a patient's abdomen. It releases medication that blocks the brain's opiate receptors. So if Brennan used heroin, he would not be able to feel the effects.
He was so adamant about how much it would help him.
Did you know he was getting paid for it?
I absolutely did not know he was getting paid for it.
A CBS News investigation has found vulnerable addicts like Brennan Berry are being paid hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars in cash to get this 30-minute outpatient procedure.
You don't give a drug addict cash money.
Industry insiders tell us doctors can make up to $30,000 for each simple surgery. And the money is so good, some doctors hire marketers. And some of those marketers employ recruiters who lure patients with cash. We found a recruiter calling himself Carter on Craigslist.
Oh, hey, I was looking for Carter.
And we arranged to meet him at a Hollywood grocery store posing as a potential patient. He told us the implant had saved his life.
I had a heroin addiction about 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's bad.
I was on and off, but I'm a little bit over a year clean now, because
Congrats.
of this implant.
Yeah.
And as long as insurance would cover it, he'd pay us cash too to get one.
I'll pay about $750 for that.
$750?
$750.
He told us he'd get us the cash the day of the surgery, either by hand or via cash payment app.
Okay, I can bring it to you.
Yeah.
I can bring it to you.
Just the
that, Venmo, Cash App.
Oh, Venmo?
Yeah, however you want.
He showed us a payment he'd made to a patient the day before.
She got an implant, but she just didn't really know any better, so I just gave her
and you're a rent?
It's like rent.
Yeah.
I always say rent. Yeah, if you go look at my Venmo, you'll see how many people I pay rent to.
Right.
Carter mentioned a doctor in Beverly Hills who he claimed had made a lot of money doing the implant surgeries.
His name is Dr. Rosen, Dr. Randy Rosen.
The same doctor, it turns out, who did Brennan Berry's implant surgery.
Excuse me, Dr. Rosen?
Rosen declined our request for an interview, so we tried to catch up with him outside his office.
But we've been wanting to talk to you about why patients are being paid to get surgeries.
Through his attorney, Dr. Rosen told us he has nothing to do with that Craigslist ad, and he has no idea who Carter is.
This is private property. Gays are not allowed to come in here.
He also told us all patients must sign this form stating they have not been paid to get the implants. As for Brennan Berry, 3 months after getting his, he overdosed after taking heroin mixed with fentanyl.
I came home and found him. I'm in his bedroom, and he was gone when I got here.
You saw him struggle with this.
You have to fight every day not to use or not to drink. They say it's one day at a time, but it's every second of every day. And he did. He fought it.
After he died, Debbie Berry learned her son was paid $1,000 to get the implant.
You don't pay somebody to have surgery. You don't prey on vulnerable people who are trying their hardest to stay alive and have a real life again.
Dr. Rosen's clinic billed Debbie Berry's insurance $59,000 for that surgery, but the plan was willing to pay only a small fraction of that. Rosen's attorney did not tell us whether the doctor hires marketers.
Your heart just breaks for Debbie, and knowing what they went through, Brennan started using 3 months after the surgery. So does this procedure even work?
Well, so the implant is supposed to work for about 3 months. So he ended up overdosing just about 3 months after, when the effects would have been wearing off. You cannot make a direct link necessarily between the implant and his death. But again, this is when the effects of it would have been potentially wearing off. But in terms of Debbie Berry, it has destroyed her world. She is understandably consumed with grief. She is speaking out now, as other mothers are, and other family members who've had this happen to them, because they want to prevent this from happening. From everything we've seen, this is an epidemic in Southern California right now. It's becoming a much bigger problem in many other areas, and it's something that not a lot of people are talking about.
Contacted by so many families, too.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Thank God she's talking out, because you see the way in which this you try and get help, and then it creates other problems.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.